Welcome to Talking Trades, the weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jamie, I'm a DC fan.
I'm John, a Marvel nut.
And I'm Matt. And I wish I had a different way to start an episode.
Oh, it's just so, what's the word? Bad?
I think the intro was good, but it can be better.
All right. So patrons, I didn't tell you guys I started the Patreon. Patrons, there's going to be a new podcast on the stream called God, I Hate These Two. It's going to be a daily podcast where I just complain about these two.
I'd listen to that.
The episodes will be released commercial free on Patreon. Later, they'll go to our YouTube channel. Be sure.
That's right. Our YouTube channel called Oh My God, Please Make It Stop.
And then it's also going to start off a Jeremy teaching podcast called Chalk and Trades.
Boo.
Chalk and Grades.
Chalk and Grades.
Boo. I do want a shirt that says that, though.
You can make one.
I want a shirt that says that. I could make that very easily. Chalk and Grades. But people be like, what? I don't get it. I'm like, it's my podcast, Talk and Trades. It's the teacher one. So
It is inside baseball for inside baseball.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like a conversation starter to get more listeners.
Or to get punched for some reason.
But happy 2021, friends. It's a new
2020 is over.
The year that sure is going.
New year, new us, same us.
New Year, same things. New Year, same stuff, man.
Yeah.
Same stuff, different year. It's all bad. But you know what's not bad? At least according to us and most people on Rotten Tomatoes, Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
Yes.
First episode of 2021. First off, also, thank you to everybody who's listened to the podcast ever, because we had our most productive year ever last year, and we hope to top that again this year. We're getting close to 15,000 total listens, which is insane to me. And that's only listens. That's not counting any of our YouTube views, which, by the way, check us out on YouTube, Talking Trades Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a lot.
If you're like me and work from home and put YouTube on all day, got you.
We are a thing you can listen to.
I used to listen to a lot of podcasts at work, but since work from home, I haven't done it. But now you can still listen to Talking Trades. We got you.
We are here for you. We are here.
Yeah,
for you.
we're
Wonder Woman 1984. Initially,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to make a joke. Go ahead. I'm just going to keep eating.
Now I need to hear the joke. Now I need you to stop eating that ice cream. I need to hear the joke.
No, I was going to say the only video part that we have right now is just me dressed up as sexy Santa Claus sitting in front of a fireplace.
We just lost 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
that was unreasonably fast.
Wow, and we didn't even have that many subscribers. We're in the negative subscribers now. I don't even know how that's possible.
How do you owe subscribers?
I don't know. But I got to call YouTube because we owe them money now. Oh, well. Maybe we can do a Pepsi ad where we stop a revolution with a Pepsi, because that's definitely not a tone-deaf thing that Pepsi did.
You know, we could use the healing power of Pepsi right now as a nation.
So this is I'm gonna be fully honest with everybody listening. This is the second take of this podcast, and I am feeling slap happy.
Yeah.
I had
Nope, it is no one's fault, and we're not gonna put any blame on anybody. We're just doing this again. We're gonna do it live. Dang it, it's gonna be great. Craig's helping us out.
Yeah,
thanks, Craig. We love you.
Live,
hey,
but also recorded, but live.
So, Wonder Woman 1984, when the reviews first came out, it was certified fresh. Everyone loved it. It's the best movie ever made. Blah blah blah. Then a bunch of angry white guys saw it, and they're like, "It's not that good." And I'm
a bunch of angry fans in general. I don't think there was any predominant audience.
I'm just assuming that white men ruin everything.
As an angry white man, I take offense because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
I feel attacked.
This movie still is considered certified fresh, or not certified fresh. It's still fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's like 60% straddling the line,
but it's 75% for audiences. More audiences like it than critics, which is, I think, fair. It's got its issues. It's not a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination. It is definitely behind the first Wonder Woman, but I still think it's fantastic. Where does it rank, gentlemen? Matt, you're finishing your chewing. John, where does this rank in your DCEU top 7 films? Because there only is 7 films. And those films are Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, then you have Justice League, and you have Birds of Prey, you have Suicide Squad, you have Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2.
My spectrum goes from Birds of Prey to Suicide Squad, which is neat.
Harley Quinn runs the gambit.
Both sides of the spectrum. Birds of Prey being my number one. Wonder Woman, the original, absolutely number two. 84 was tricky. I had a little more time to think about it since this is our second time. I'm going to agree with Jeremy and put Man of Steel at 3.
It's such a good movie.
It was really
It
good.
is, and it totally just was not on my radar when we were going through it the first time. And then I'll put 84 at 4. And then
Here's
5
the thing.
will be...
Here's the thing with Man of Steel, dude. Man of Steel came out
First.
7 years ago? 6 years ago?
forever ago. It came out
No, longer
forever
than that.
ago.
I was in college when it came out.
Yeah, it was a
It
while.
came out in the before times where things were
In
happening.
the long ago.
In the long ago.
So where does 84 rank? I'm sorry.
4. Still fourth, but I forgot
No,
about
that's a
Man
great
of Steel.
I
and
think
doing
it's a
mine.
good 4.
It's it is not as good, but it is definitely more fun, which I appreciated.
It's definitely, I think
Especially right now.
I'd put it in my top 5. Number 1 is the first Wonder Woman. Number 2 is Man of Steel for me. Number 3 was Shazam. Number 4, probably Birds of Prey or Aquaman, one of those two. And then number 5 would be Wonder Woman 84. And then,
I think that's a good list.
Then Justice League and
Justice League,
BVS. And I still haven't seen Suicide Squad. So
That's
You're
okay.
good.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I've seen both cuts. That's okay.
Either one is worth it. My
One's just longer.
personal top 8 on MySpace would be number 1 is Wonder Woman because it's just perfect. 2, Man of Steel. So Matt and I have the same top 2. 3 would probably be BVS just because I'm trash. No, you know what? 3 is Birds of Prey. 4 is BVS, the director's cut because I'm trash.
Yeah, Ultimate
4
Cut's the only cut.
4 I would put. 4 is probably Aquaman. Aquaman I enjoyed. 5 I would put Shazam. 6 would be this Wonder Woman 1984. 7 Justice League. I still like it, but I know it's not good.
mm-hmm.
And then a few blank spaces, and then Suicide Squad.
Is BVS extended cut on HBO Max? Asking for a friend.
I will check
Ooh,
while we
let me
record.
look it up.
I got it pulled up because I was watching Be Some Search Party.
Okay, there you go. So, with all this being said, let's break down the movie in no uncertain terms, but let's make sure to first put in
A spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
So, you have been thoroughly spoiler alerted. Isn't it crazy how Wonder Woman dies?
Yeah, totally. Right. She dies, and then Captain Marvel shows up, and then she resurrects.
I don't know what cut you guys are watching.
And then Batman punches Thanos in the face. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
and then
in this
What a
cut,
movie.
did we finally get a Green Lantern? Or no.
and then Thanos snaps his fingers. Batman turns to dust, but he doesn't actually die. He just goes back in time.
Yep, and then he sings a Huey Lewis song. Back in time.
Quick update for those of you at home or out and about living your life. The Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is on HBO Max.
Hot dog.
Matt, now you get to watch it.
I get to
It's under
finally
the-
see it.
It's under the Batman Takeover section under DC.
Well, it looks like I know how I'm going to celebrate finish editing when I talking is hard in the 2021.
Words are hard.
They are. I know how I'm going to celebrate finishing editing this episode on Thursday.
Very good. You can cut that nice talking thing out that you just weren't able to do. But now that I've referenced it, you have to keep it in.
No, I'm going to keep it in so people know that, even a superhuman like myself can make mistakes every once in a while.
On episode number 1 of God, I Hate These Two. This is a Matt-heavy episode.
I didn't even do anything.
Matt's delusions of grandeur.
So, Wonder Woman 1984. Let's break down character to character. The overall plot is there's a wishing stone. People find it. They want to use it for wishes. Maxwell Lord uses it to gain power. Wonder Woman has to stop him. She does. Everyone's happy. But let's just go character to character. Let's start with Barbara Minerva, a.k.a. the Cheetah.
Mhm.
They gave her a new backstory for this, but it still made perfect sense. So her backstory in the comics that I'm aware of is she tries to find an item. I believe it's a golden girdle in the particular origin that I know. But she wants it to become immortal and to become powerful. She's an archaeologist who's looking for this. She gets it. She's cursed to become the cheetah. In this, she wants to be more like Diana. She wants to be more confident. She wants to be more strong. She wants to be more cool. In doing that, she loses her humanity. She gets cooler, but she loses her humanity, eventually becoming like an animal when she makes her second wish. I thought initially when they cast Kristen Wiig, I was like, oh, interesting. And I honestly don't have any negatives to say about her. At no point does she get to do her Kristen Wiig. I believe you called it quirkiness earlier, John, off mic. I think that's a great term for it. I would have been a little disappointed if I saw the quirkiness because it just didn't call for it. But this shows me that Kristen Wiig has a ton of range. And I thought she was great in this movie.
Yeah, I'd seen her in Skeleton Twins, so I knew she could absolutely crush a dramatic role. This is clearly in
I forgot
between.
about that movie.
But yeah, I thought
forgot
she was
about
great.
that movie.
Yeah.
You know,
she's very good.
She's very talented. I'm a big fan. She is one of my favorite SNL alumni, for sure. She's just
real quick, underrated SNL future alum, Cecily Strong.
I love Cecily so much.
I love her so much.
Cecily.
She's so great.
So Barbara's storyline is she's the nerdy girl who doesn't get loved and she doesn't get liked. So she eventually, when the wishing stone is utilized, she uses it to gain Diana's confidence and power.
Yeah, she says she wants to be like Diana.
She does become like Diana, but she retains her intelligence. But eventually she does lose her humanity, like I was saying earlier. Eventually, when she gets to use her second wish, she wants to become an apex predator, and she does.
Like nothing that ever was before.
And she's scary. She's a formidable villain. I did like... It's unfortunate that they ended the movie with her going back to being a human, but I think that it's still good. You can still have her become a villain later on by having her, so she renounces her wish, which is a plot point in the movie, and she goes back to just being Barbara. But you could have that come back where she then goes to try a different artifact to become like Diana, because she's addicted to the power now, which would make perfect sense, because if you had godlike powers, you would want those back. And she could go looking for another thing and eventually become cursed, which is closer to the comic book origin, and she could become the cheetah again. You didn't write Kristen Wiig out of the universe, and I like that.
Yeah. There also could be some weird thing, because she's, I think, the only character that had 2 wishes granted. Well, so there could be some lingering effects from that.
I feel like the way that worked, though, was Maxwell Lord used his right. He was taking the wishes of everybody, and you know how he is like, okay, I'm going to grant you a wish, but I'm going to take something, and it felt like he was taking that and taking that stuff and giving it to himself and Minerva. At least that's what I thought. That's what it felt like to me. Is she wasn't necessarily
so maybe her second wish wasn't actually a wish.
It wasn't
he was just giving her something off of somebody else's wish.
She wanted this, and he had the ability to take whatever he wanted, and he took that and gave it to her.
He had enough power banked.
You know what, you're right. I'm forgetting about that scene when they're at the that broadcasting center where she make it looks like she makes an additional wish there. Because in my head I had that the other wish was on the plane, but no, it could have definitely been in that moment. You're right.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't think about that, Matt. Good thing we recorded this episode again.
Yeah.
Hey,
I just watched it today.
It does play into the she's really without her glasses she's pretty, but the movie doesn't go full into it. In the beginning, she's ignored by a coworker, and then once the wish happens, she gets confidence. Is the main thing that changes. And he notices her, and she does take off her glasses, but really her hair doesn't really change all that much. She is more confident in who she is in her own appearance. So it plays into it, but doesn't it doesn't like she's all that. Like, oh my god,
It's not
who knew
patronizing.
Rachel Lee Cook was pretty?
I mean, like she made
Everybody did that.
she even made a joke about her glasses when her eyesight suddenly got better. She was like, I must have been reading so much that my eyesight got better. So it was never like, oh, my glasses are off, I'm a completely different person. It's like,
Yeah, but when that happened, she already had the entire attention of everyone in the room.
exactly.
Like, it's not that
It
it was
was-
suddenly, oh my god.
It was the confidence.
Yep.
Which speaks volumes.
I like that a lot.
Mhm.
We can get into the tropes in a little bit because we can talk about that right now. It's a good time. The tropes of the 80s, right, are Middle East bad, terrorism bad, war okay, glasses off girl pretty, and body swapping or fish out of water, right?
Yep.
We hit all of those in a subversive way in this film. You get the body swapping fish out of water with Steve Trevor. Loved that. Thought it was fantastic. The glasses off girl pretty with Kristen Wiig without it being patronizing. Great. The entire thing with the Middle East where realistically the war makes no sense, but with all 80s films, they just went into war with the Middle East or with Russia or whoever just cuz. So that felt like they were like, oh, here you go. You've seen the 80s movies. You understand this without having to explain it. Loved that.
In reality, the decades and decades and decades of war in the Middle East and the struggles and animosity, that is much, much, much too complex to get into. This movie does not have that kind of time.
No.
It puts its toes in the water anyway. And that was a huge strike against the movie that I've seen online. And I agree with it. It's a concept that's way too large to do justice. But it was part of the plot. It made sense for the story. But yes, I agree. It was a little reaching too high.
Yeah. But I also felt that to that point, like I was saying, like it just felt like they were more talking about the trope rather than actually doing it. They knew they couldn't do it justice, so it's just more like, hey, look, tropey. And it
If
was
you
over.
examine it through that lens, it makes a lot more sense.
Right. The next character we can talk about is Steve Trevor, because Steve Trevor has a brief plot, but I really liked Steve in this movie. Chris Pine's great. I haven't really disliked Chris Pine in anything I've seen.
Top tier Chris.
Arguably my second favorite Chris of all time. Ooh, maybe not. Top 3 for sure.
Yeah,
Above
he's
Chris
top
Pratt,
3.
without a doubt,
100%.
because I don't like Chris Pratt.
You never have, to be fair. It's not even like a recent thing.
No, but the reason things are more upsetting. Like before, I just didn't care about him. Now I actively dislike him.
Gotcha.
Was Steve Trevor? He comes back. He's body swapped in, and I was concerned. How are they going to do this? How are they going to make this make sense? I think they did. I think it was good. I liked it. He's fish out of water. He is Steve from World War I, brought back by magic, by the wish. And I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. He doesn't look like Steve to anybody else. He looks like the guy whose body he's inhabiting, which has its own moral quandary. But like, hey, man, it's a little bit of suspension of disbelief. I feel like it's a hurdle to be moved over for this comic book movie that didn't feel like it was marginalizing
Because
the lack of control over someone's body.
Yeah, the
Or
concern
taking control over someone's body.
that the host had no say in what was going on with the host body. That's a very valid concern. But again, if you examine it through the lens of it being a body swap trope done in this movie, it makes sense. Also, this is a franchise that has magic and like crazy stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
So like it does. I'm willing to give it a lot more allowances in terms of
I agree.
magic and things being set right at the end of it.
So he's brought back, and his whole arc is, he's back with Diana. They're both like super stoked to be with each other again. And he doesn't. So a big problem with like women in film has been that they've only served to either propel the main character to do a thing, or they're only able to do their own thing because of a man or another character. This felt like a legitimate partnership where they're happy together. They're great with each other, but Diana's still a whole person without him. She's sad because she loves him and she wants to be around him, and he's not around all the time because, he's dead. But at no point is it she's not only able to succeed because of Steve. She succeeds with Steve because that's just who he is. He's very positive. He supports her. And I liked that. I didn't feel like they took her agency away from her because of Steve or because of a man. And it worked out very well.
Mhm.
So much so that he teaches her about flight without, talking down to her or mansplaining to her. This felt very strong. Patty Jenkins, friend of the show, Patty Jenkins, I apologize. I felt that, and feel free to chime in or tell me I'm wrong, but when he explains flight to her, that could have been done very poorly. Like, well, actually, like this is how it actually works. Or no, he just gives her his perspective and she uses that information to help her later. That's how she learns how to fly. But it's never, he doesn't talk down to her like this is how flight works or blah, blah, blah. Like she never feels like when she eventually does learn how to fly, it is using her like abilities with Steve's assistance, not she can fly because of Steve.
Right.
Yep.
Which could have been done very poorly and has been done very poorly in other films.
So many things about this movie could have been done very poorly, but were not. Like Cheetah, for example.
Yeah.
Very easy character to just mess up.
Yeah, he
Yes.
just kind of introduced a different way of thinking about it. He could have been like, actually something about velocity and drag, and you don't get it, and I can fly.
You got to go through flight school. Like he could have gate kept it, but no,
Yeah.
he's like, it's just,
Yeah.
he broke it down to its essentials. And like, it's the air and the wind and how to catch it and how to ride it. It's
You
great.
forget how great Chris Pine and Gal Gadot are on screen together until you see them again. They're so fantastic.
Absolutely.
They probably have a blast on set.
I hope so. I'd like to think they're friends.
Yeah, based off of their panel in August, they seem to just really enjoy. Just everybody in that cast seemed to really enjoy themselves. That one and the Suicide Squad, both you could just tell that both of those casts just seem to just love being around each other, and that's nice. You like it when that
Absolutely.
happens.
You want that, right? You want that. Steve gets to have his big emotional moment with Diana when he. So the whole point of the whole way the wishes work is you give up something to get something, and you don't ever get to pick what it is you give up, but you do get to pick what it is you get. So she gets Steve back with her wish, but she loses her powers. They realize this towards the middle end of the movie, and he's like, hey, you have to let me go. I have to go back. I have to, in order for you to have your powers, because you need your powers. And she doesn't want to let him go. She doesn't want to lose him again because she loves him. And that emotional moment that hits when she does have to let him go, I thought was done really, really well.
Very well.
It hits home. It didn't feel cheesy. Didn't feel bad. It just felt great. And it was very powerful. And I liked it a lot.
I agree.
I think that's all of Steve's arc. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most
That's,
part.
I mean, yeah, his arc is like learning about the 80s.
Which is
Yes, that was very fun.
just wonderful. Steve Trevor confirmed Fanny Pack Man. That's canon now.
Absolutely.
Cheese on demand. I'm a fan.
So the next character we talk about is the Mando, Pedro Pascal, Oberyn Martell, Maxwell Lord.
My muse, my flame.
I don't know his
I want
character from
you two
Narcos.
to talk about. Oh yeah, he's in Narcos. I've never seen Narcos. I want you two to talk about the positive things of Maxwell Lord in the story, and then I want to complain.
Okay.
More than fair. Matt, tell me about Maxwell Lord from Wonder Woman 84.
I'll tell you about Maxwell Lord. First off, Pedro Pascal might be the most charming man in history. That's
God, he is, isn't he?
he's
The
so
goat.
great. He's so
handsome.
he's handsome, and he's just like the one review said it was like they tried to make Maxwell Lord like a certain 45th president of the United States, but you still
Random, non-specific.
random. But
Oh, potentially the only president ever to be impeached twice and lose the
Impeached
popular vote
twice.
twice. That's
Yes.
crazy.
they said like they tried their hardest, but Pedro Pascal is just so charming and likable. That
How do you
can't-
look that good in those horrible 80s suits, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
And that ridiculous 80s hair, to be honest. Like, the style is not
Yeah.
popular.
Oh,
but
yeah. It's not a
very
good
80s
look,
style.
but he looked good.
But Maxwell Lord is somebody who runs a Ponzi scheme because he wants to have, essentially, he wants to be a dad that his kid can look up to and give his kid a good life.
By being, I believe, like super number one businessman.
Yeah,
or something
super
to that
number
effect.
one businessman. And like, that's
like a Japanese
Doesn't it? Doesn't it
McDonald's
sound like a
commercial would
horrible
describe it.
translation of something?
yeah. It's like a mobile ad.
and the reason behind it is very sweet and it's very touching. That and we actually get to, and in one part we get to see the backstory in like just flashes of Maxwell Lord and how he had just a really bad bringing up.
It's at the climax though, so it's after we've seen him do all the
the
villain
big
arc.
bad stuff.
We
but,
then get his backstory, which I thought was a brilliant way to do it.
But so Maxwell Lord, he, at the beginning you see a mall, a shop in a mall getting robbed, and they were acting on behalf of him to get a precious shiny that can grant wishes.
They were not acting on it. They were not. That's not
I
true.
thought that was.
No, he was going to go buy it from those people.
Yeah,
They just
the
happened
jewelry
to get
store
robbed.
was a front for actual like black market activity.
Gotcha.
And Maxwell Lord was going to purchase the stone. However,
They just
because of
happened
the
to get robbed
robbery,
that
it got taken in custody and is at the Smithsonian now
okay.
because of those
We don't need
events.
to get bogged down with all the details. Let's just do the
Okay.
overarching stuff.
But yeah, so he eventually runs into Barbara and Diana. He eventually gets the stone, and he wishes to become the stone. The stone turns to dust, and he uses that power to grant everybody wishes, but at the same time, he gets to also take something away from them.
And because he's the stone, he can take what he wants from you.
Whatever he wants from you once you make a wish, but you have to be touching him. And obviously that builds up until eventually he's even convinced the president to regard him as essentially head honcho, like Maxwell Lord, top of the universe. And he uses a like satellite thing to project himself to everybody's TVs, and through the particles, apparently that somehow he's touching people. And he basically asks the entire
that's probably the most comic book leap this movie makes.
Mm-hmm. And he basically he just says to everybody who's by a TV, wish for something. And he uses that power to grant himself to grant himself strong powers, and to also eventually push Minerva to become entirely Cheetah.
Yes. Because every wish he grants, it takes a toll on his health. So he needs to find a way to grant several wishes at once, so he can take this guy's liver, and then this person's, I don't know, whatever organs fail.
Yeah, taking
et cetera.
all these people's life force.
And it goes full circle, and then at the end, he realizes through Diana that, like, you know, the truth is she's less of truth. Which in the movie she says is bigger than any one person, which is great. And she has him see his past, which is like he grew up, didn't have a lot of opportunities. So then he's like, screw it, let's fake it till we make it. And he just tried to make a good life for him and his son. And then his son wishes for him to come back. And he's like, no. Like, you didn't do it because I wish you come. Like, I'm not here because you wish me. I'm here because I love you. And I'm actually I think he says like big loser guy.
Yeah.
Or something, which is a good book ending of it. It's a sweet redemption. I really did like it.
It was very nice. It was, you know, it built up to a doomsday thing where everybody had their missiles and they were ready to fire the missiles.
But I am
which again, the movie did not have the time to do justice.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
No.
So,
Jeremy, what's your take on Mr. Lord?
Everything you guys said is true and accurate. I love it. I really wish that this hadn't been Maxwell Lord. I feel they used the name recognition to get the character into the movie, but at no point does he act like Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord in the comics is a conniving businessman who wants to get to the top and will do whatever he takes. eventually he becomes he's a non-superpowered person who becomes an antagonist to the Justice League, specifically to Wonder Woman, to the point where he starts an entire crisis event. He's the mastermind behind a crisis event called Infinite Crisis. And he's such a jerk that he gets under everyone's skin. He's able to use his business ties, like a Lex Luthor light. And I think that's an interesting character that now they can't do because he's gotten this really good redemption arc and he's done, which is fine. But it bums me out that they wasted Maxwell Lord this way. To the point where in the Infinite Crisis, the end of the Infinite Crisis, Wonder Woman snaps his neck because he's like, I'm not going to ever stop. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to keep coming for you. I'm going to kill all of you. And she literally twists his head completely around in cold blood. And Superman's like, not okay with it. It's like a really interesting story arc that happens in the book. And now we'll never get that. Granted, we probably weren't going to get that anyway. But we are not going to get anywhere near what we could have gotten with Maxwell Lord.
Yeah.
And I just wish that they had gone with a no-name character. Now, John, the first time we recorded this, you said it makes sense. You can't have Cheetah second fiddle to a no-name new character. And I agree with that. However, I'm still going to whine because I'm a comic book nerd and that's what I do.
Yeah, I feel like that both sides of that can't be appeased simultaneously. The other option would be to like Winter Soldier, where Adrian Pierce is just like a person. Like just do that. Just have some person instead of Maxwell Lord, just some dude. But again, I think that if your marketing is Cheetah, and then to then come in and not like bait and switch, but like kind of bait and switch, then say, Cheetah wasn't the real villain, it was this person. But by using an established DC villain name, I feel it would come across better to more people. I think it's more palatable.
I agree. Like I said, whining for whining's sake. Well, I think that takes us to Diana. Diana has a very cut and dry superhero story in this movie, which isn't a bad thing, but it is just bad guy gets the thing, stop the bad guy, save the world. Loved it. Fantastic. Something to note, does Diana hit anybody in this movie, like with the exception of the creep in the park who attacks Barbara, and I think the people with the guns. No, even then, I don't think she hit.
She did a lot of deflecting.
She did a lot of deflecting. She might have kicked one or two, but
she lassoed the guys in the beginning of the movie. But she really is on the defense. She uses, the Tai Chi style of like use your opponent's momentum against them. She doesn't do a lot of damage, and I think that makes way more sense for Diana.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's who she should be. I loved it. Fantastic. So much so that, again, her plot really is stop the bad guy. So much so, the end of this film, the big quote-unquote showdown, she fights Cheetah with her armor. Great scene. But even then, doesn't really throw a punch. Is mostly on the defensive.
Just a second.
Mostly on the defensive. Oh yeah, we're getting to the armor. And then when she fights Maxwell Lord or stops Maxwell Lord, she doesn't have to do anything. She uses love, kindness, empathy, and truth. That's how she stops him. And it's awesome. And that felt way closer to a Wonder Woman ending of a movie rather than the first one. Still love the first one. Still a perfect film. But, John, you talked to us about this in D&D. That was not the intended original ending of that film.
Yeah, in a semi-recent interview with Patty Jenkins, she shared that the final showdown with Ares wasn't in the original draft or in the plan. It was repeated pressure from the studio to have this superhero movie end with a big showdown set piece. So that was added way later after almost all the script had been like locked down and in. And it honestly kind of feels that way too, watching it.
This felt closer to what should have been the ending of the first movie and what was a perfect ending to the second movie. This was great.
Yeah.
Great ending. Diana's fantastic the whole movie. At no point does she ever feel like she's a complete character the entire time. She has hopes, she has wants, she has desires, she has the means to succeed, and she does. She's great. And I love her. And I cannot wait for the third movie with this creative team and with Gal. She is Wonder Woman. And she's perfect.
The movie must have hit, we don't know what metrics they were looking to get. Maybe new subscribers, maybe box office, I don't know. But it must have hit them because very early on, DC announced that a third Wonder Woman movie with Patty Jenkins is on the way.
So good.
We're still waiting on Man of Steel 2. Just saying.
Yeah.
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 Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, Zack Snyder's been kind of busy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk. Let's fangirl, guys. Let's get excited. The armor. Oh my God. Asteria's armor. So that armor comes from the greatest artist of all time, Alex Ross. Fight me. At me on Twitter. I'll fight you. Alex Ross is the best. He designed this armor for the novel or the graphic novel Kingdom, which he gives all the superheroes in the DC Justice League like their own armor. And Wonder Woman's is this golden eagle armor. And it's beautiful. I love it. And it's in this movie. And when it was in the marketing, I was like, done. I mean, I don't care what. The movie could be 90 minutes of them just yelling, "You're the worst. You're stupid." But if she's doing it in the armor, I'll watch it. And not only do they not call me stupid in this movie, I enjoyed the movie. She gets to do the armor. So it's just perfect. Whew. It looked so good on screen, didn't it?
Yeah.
It sure
It
did.
looks very nice.
Oh, it was so good. Now, John, there was some criticism about this armor, wasn't there?
Yes. So yes, there was the in the armor or in the story in the armor. In order to escape the world of man, the Amazons put all of their armor into one fantastic suit of armor, and that is the golden armor. It's the armor of the hero Asteria. The beginning of the movie has a whole scene, the lesson of which is don't take shortcuts. But the scene itself is a contest or Olympic style competition with like different. There's archery, there's horseback riding, there's javelin, a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all in honor of Asteria because she sacrificed herself to let the Amazons live a life away from the world of man. And Diana at one point found it in a dig, and that's how she has it. And the armor was built and strong enough to protect Asteria as she was just assaulted from all sides from enemies. So the criticism I've seen with the armor is that in the fight with Cheetah, which really is Diana defending against Cheetah, Cheetah is able to rip the armor pretty much like the wings, not like one swipe a wing is gone, but do some serious damage to this armor. And then she discards the wings. But in the movie, Cheetah had made the wish to become an apex predator like nothing that had come before. So I think it's a good showing of just how strong Cheetah is, as opposed to this armor is weak.
I agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Also, tactically, they make things like this. I can't say for sure. I wasn't there when the Amazons made this armor, but I am guessing that this would work here too. They make things tactically to fall apart when they're hit so that it protects what's inside. And if the little feathers fall off, but Diana's totally fine, isn't the armor doing its job? Seems like it would work. Seems fine to me.
I agree.
But whatever. The other thing that I lost my absolute mind about was when this movie, so when Wonder Woman first showed up in Batman vs. Superman, when they first said they cast a Wonder Woman, I immediately turned off my brain to the idea of even having the invisible jet. I was like, that's just not, they're not going to do it. And that's totally fine.
But also,
they'll make a joke about it one day.
Also in that
it's
movie,
totally fine. I don't need it.
You see her purchase ticket for and board a commercial airline plane.
Right.
So it's not like, why would I think she has a jet at her disposal?
Right. I figured like one day in like a Justice League 2, Bruce might be like, hey, I invented a plane that goes invisible. And she'd go, an invisible jet? That's crazy. Like that's what all I thought.
Yeah.
Totally fine with it. So not only was I not expecting it, but they also did it in a way that made it was so cool.
They made it legitimately cool and legitimately not stupid. And I am shocked.
They go to fly. They got to go catch up with Maxwell Lord in Egypt. And Steve's like, I can fly a plane. She's like, great, let's go. So they go steal a commercial, or they go steal a jet from the Smithsonian. And they're going and they're like, oh, they're going to detect us. They're going to detect us. I forgot to tell you about radar, Steve. And he's like, what's radar? This technology. She's like, hold on, I have a thing.
Oh my God. This movie used their one swear word so well.
So she's like, I've been practicing this. I made a coffee mug disappear. just the way that we made Themyscira disappear and make it undetectable. It'll look like it's invisible. And he's like, oh, okay, you better hurry. And she does. And she turns the whole jet invisible, and it's great. I was like, that is, they got to the airspace, and I didn't think about it. And then she says, I can do that. And I turned to Hannah, and I'm like, are they going to do the invisible jet? And I'm like punching her knee. Like, they're doing it. Invisible jet is happening. Lose my mind. And then it happened. I was like, this is the best movie that's ever been made. And then I was like, oh yeah, but Maxwell Lord's in it. So I don't know about the best movie ever made, but it's great. Oh man, what an awesome, dumb, great, stupid, amazing thing they did. I love it.
It's another example of you need to embrace the lineage and not like, oh, yellow spandex. Like, embrace the lineage.
Yeah.
Do the weird stuff. Do it well.
Absolutely. What a good movie, dude. I enjoyed the heck out of this movie.
Yeah, it was fun.
Matt, is there anything we haven't talked about that you liked about this movie or think that needs to be brought up? I think we've covered a good chunk of things.
I don't think so. I feel like everything that I like talking about is we covered it all. I mean, I know the only thing that I would have liked to see was her attempt to use the invisibility thing at least once prior.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Or like you could have done it in that scene and have her take a few tries. That could have added a bit of drama and or comedy and or both, which would have been fun.
It is a long movie already, though.
It is already a long movie, and
Yes.
that's like the only place where I could see it happen.
I think if they were to have planned a sequel initially, then that would have been an excellent post-credit scene for Wonder Woman, the first one. But that wasn't the plan initially.
right. Which, like,
So here we
shame
are.
on you. You should have known that this movie was the first movie was going to be huge.
I don't know, man. Women in the leading role, I think Hollywood's pretty skeptical.
Yeah, you're talking about Hollywood execs. Like, I don't know.
You're
Never
right.
trust old white men for anything.
Oh, I'm aware.
No, you're Matt.
There was like one minor continuity error in the movie. The other thing that drove me like a little, not nuts, but like that I did not like. That
It got on
to
your
me
nerves.
felt- yeah, they got on my nerves. Thank you. Was at one point Steve
It
finds
perturbed you.
Thank you. Finds a ticket, and they're like, "Oh, we got to find out where Lord's going. Where's he going?" He goes, looks at a plane ticket, and says, "Well, if this date's correct, then he's going to Cairo." So then he has to go to the airship. They get in the plane. There's a great scene with fireworks. I'm like, why are there fireworks? What is going on?
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, it's the 4th of July." And Steve looked at the ticket. Steve had to have seen it was the 4th of July.
Well, John,
Because if
as
this
you
date
famously
is
know,
correct-
they didn't start celebrating the 4th of July until after America became
1777?
independent. And that was like, what? Ooh,
1985, actually.
1985. Right.
As soon as Marty McFly went back in time, actually, that was
So that was like my like
Yeah, for
John
sure.
typical nitpicky thing. The thing I didn't like besides
John.
the Middle East thing was like, which there just was not time for, is I feel that if you're going to use 1984 in your title, like that holds a lot of weight. And this movie did not deliver on any of the themes that I came to expect from using 84 specifically.
John, 1984 is also a time. Do we know that? Were we aware of that?
It is, but
Okay,
it was
I'm just making sure.
definitely deliberately used.
it's also a
No,
Van
yeah,
Halen record.
I hear you. Go. Sorry, Matt. What's that?
It's also a Van Halen record.
Ooh.
Has Jump in Panama.
Oh wow! So it's the only good one. John, I hear you. I honestly didn't. As an avid novel reader with an English minor, that didn't even occur to me in regards to the movie. Just because, and maybe that's just because I saw all the tweets that was WW84 as opposed to 1984. It just didn't come up in my brain, and maybe I'm in the minority on that. But I can absolutely see where you're coming from on that. I do think that also that was the year that Reagan was elected. So I'm wondering if there's also, that frame around it where, that's kind of like the scene is a lot of people can kind of point back to that as the decline of a lot of things in America, with the war on drugs and trickle down economics and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if maybe that was their intention or if it was the George Orwell book. I don't know, but I hadn't thought of that.
Because also, like,
So
the
it didn't like
font,
cross my mind until you said it.
the font of Wound 84 is like surveillance footage. The opening of the movie, the letters and numbers are in like surveillance footage, which I think is a callback to like, oh, like you're being surveilled.
I thought it was just staticky, crappy 80s TVs. That's how I saw it. I didn't see it as surveillance because there's so much color. When I see surveillance, I see black and white or green.
Yeah, and like, granted, after you watch the movie, you realize, well, that plays into the whole broadcast climax at the end. Like, that's what that actually plays into. But it just, I don't know. It was too deliberately calculated to be like, to then not deliver on anything.
Yeah.
Perhaps. It also just could have been an oversight where someone goes, it sounds cool. And they go, yeah. And they don't actually think about it because that 100% happens in Hollywood where they go, oh, shoot, that means something.
See,
we didn't think about that. We didn't think past the first thing.
I think it's too big, personally, to just have not noticed. But actually, one thing I forgot to bring up earlier, there was a decently big oversight on this movie.
What's that?
And because no one brought it up, I'm guessing you didn't catch it. There is no DC Universe crawl at the beginning.
Yeah, I noticed that and I was kind of bummed.
And that's just because they just didn't put it in and no one realized it and they sent it to streaming in theaters.
Well, it's almost like that doesn't mean anything. Like,
It
Marvel
does.
does it because Marvel like matters. Like, DC started doing that to copy Marvel. Like, I mean, as an avid DC guy, I don't care.
True, but I guarantee you the Suicide Squad's going to have it, as is every other
for sure.
subsequent live action movie. Well, live action.
See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe Hollywood just screwed up with the title. Who knows? Never trust people, man. People are stupid.
I trust marketing to like. I trust everything marketing does is deliberate.
I feel like the only one that might not have it would be like the Batman. When it that
Well, yeah, because
eventually
it's
comes.
confirmed to
Joker.
not be in the EU.
and
Yeah, and
Joker, didn't have it. So, but
Yeah,
other
that's
than
why the
yeah.
Suicide Squad will.
That was a whoopsie for this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
think
was
so.
a genuine oversight.
All right, gentlemen. We have to give this movie a rating out of 10. What do you give it? I give it 8.4.
Yep.
I was going to give it 8.5, but like 8.4 is too flavorful to not do.
Yeah.
Right? It's just perfect.
Yeah, we enjoy the flavor. I was going to give it.
Oh,
an
we
8,
didn't talk
but
about Asteria.
We didn't talk about Asteria.
Well, our post-credit scene.
Good thing
They
we're
talk
in
about
for
their
Patreon
post-credit
subscribers is
for
That's
our,
right.
for our $0 a month tier.
That's right. And for the $10 a month tier, we will just cry and say thank you the entire episode. Asteria. So Asteria is seen very briefly in the movie, and then her armor is recovered. And you're like, okay, that's neat. And they don't show her face. And initially watching the movie, I'm like, okay, they're doing that just in case they ever want to cast that character. That's smart. Then you don't have to, just like Voldemort in the first few Harry Potters, like they didn't give him a full face because, you know, you could have whoever play him later.
Mhm.
Smart. Genius. I love it. I was wrong. Because Asteria is in the post-credit scene. And Asteria is played by
Linda Carter.
the Wonder Woman herself, Linda Carter. Oh my God. She looks so good. She saves somebody, for a baby, from getting hit by like a pole thingy, and the lady's like, oh my God, you're like a Wonder Woman. Or whatever. Like, you're the Spider-Man. Like, she says something stupid. And Linda Carter turns around and is like, I'm still super hot. And everyone's like, we agree.
I've been doing this a long time.
But you look incredible.
It's
Oh,
great.
she's
And it was also playing with expectations too, because she's wearing like a flowy blue gown or dress or / cape. But I don't know exactly what the garment was. But that calls back
Cloak?
to her
shawl.
to Wonder Woman's blue
I-
dress from the first movie. So, and with long flowing raven black hair. So you're like, is that Diana? But it wasn't.
Nay. It's the original Diana. Oh, she looked great. 69 years old, she is.
Nice.
Phenomenal. Also nice.
Nice.
What a good movie. If you haven't seen it, why are you listening to this podcast? You're an idiot.
Yeah, you
But-
literally just got everything.
Unless
spoiled
you're
for
my
you.
grandma who isn't going to see this movie and listens to this podcast, then grandma, you're not an idiot and I love you.
The movie is streaming on HBO Max till January 24th, by the way.
Yes. And then I will be buying a Steelbook Blu-ray.
And it's going away for
Because
probably a
I'm
bit.
trash.
And then it'll probably be back, because who's to say?
It's going
Can
to
you,
the vault.
can you imagine if the
the Disney
steelbook
Vault. You'll never
if the
see it again.
steelbook is her in the armor and it's all nice and shiny?
Oh, how could it not be?
Stop.
Right?
Stop. Oh my God. Stop. My wallet fell out.
Unless
oh
there's
my
like
God.
a legal limit of colors you can put on a case. Like that's going to be it.
I don't think there is.
You never know, though. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, see the movie. If you have seen the movie, share your thoughts with us. Hit us up on Instagram at Talking Trades Podcast, Twitter, Talking Trades Podcast. Hit us up. We want to hear what your thoughts are. We also need an intro for Matt, so please hit us up on social media.
Yeah, like straight up. I was not joking.
We're not smart enough to come up with a good intro, and we're not proud enough to not ask you.
Yeah, so like even on the down low at @the_Batmat2112. Just hit me up with some, and I'll absolutely tell you that I'm going to give you credit, and then just take it all for myself.
That's right, because we're colonizers.
Yes, we are.
What?
But yeah, that'll do it. Next week, or whenever this comes out, the week after this comes out, we'll be back with a new episode. You'll have to see what it is. It'll be a nice surprise. It'll probably be a comic book.
We don't even know what it is.
A comic
yeah, but
book
decided
on a comic book podcast. Get out of
I
town.
know. That's called taking risks. But everyone, we will see you later. Remember, stay safe, stay loved, be good people. We love you, and we're very happy to have you along with this journey. Remember that you're special and you matter, and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye. You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.